Captain Jake Morrison stared at the empty space station floating before his ship. The massive structure was dark and silent, its metal corridors filled with nothing but cold air. 3 weeks ago, this station had been home to thousands of aliens, called the Zephyrians. Now it was as empty as a ghost town. Any signs of life? Jake asked his crew. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Park checked her instruments. Nothing, Captain. The station is completely empty. No bodies, no messages, nothing. Jake rubbed his tired eyes. This was the 5th empty station they had found in 2 months. The same story everywhere they went. Advanced alien races had simply vanished, leaving behind only empty buildings and broken machines. Take us to the planet below, Jake ordered. Maybe we'll find answers there. The planet Kepler 442b looked beautiful from space. Green forests covered most of the land, and blue oceans sparkled under the yellow sun. But as their ship got closer, Jake could see problems. Dark smoke rose from several cities. Some areas looked burned and damaged. Lisa led the landing team down to the surface. They found the local aliens called the Velani waiting for them. The Velani looked like tall, thin humans, but with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. They seemed scared and desperate. An old Velani approached them. He carried a small device that helped him speak human words. Please, the old alien said, are you here to help us? Our guardians left us. We do not know what to do. Lisa knelt down to be at the alien's eye level. We're humans. We just discovered this area of space. Can you tell us what happened? The old Velani's eyes filled with tears. The great ones who protected us for 1,000 years. They left without saying goodbye. They took their ships, their weapons, everything. They destroyed the machines that kept us safe. Dr. Marcus Webb stepped forward. He was the ship's expert on alien life. Who were these guardians? Why did they protect you? The Zephyrians, the old alien explained. They said we were too weak to protect ourselves. They built shields around our world. They fought off the bad ones who wanted to hurt us. But 3 months ago, they said they had to leave. They said a great danger was coming, and they could not stay. Marcus looked around at the damaged city. What happened after they left? The Kefmer came, the old Velani whispered with fear. They are strong and mean. They said we belong to them now. They took many of our people as slaves. We cannot fight them. Our weapons are too weak. Jake felt anger growing in his chest. These peaceful aliens had been left defenseless. Their protectors had run away and left them to face dangerous enemies alone. Over the next few days, Jake's team learned more about the situation. The Zephyrians had not been the only ones to leave. 3 other powerful alien races had also abandoned the worlds they had been protecting. The Crystalline Collective, the Void Walkers, and the Star Shepherds had all vanished at the same time Dr. Webb studied the broken machines left behind. This is strange, he told Jake. They didn't just leave. They deliberately broke everything. They made sure these people couldn't contact them or follow them. Why would they do that? Lisa asked. I don't know, Webb replied. But it looks like they were scared of something. Really scared. Jake called his ship to contact Earth. Admiral Patricia Stone answered the call. She was in charge of all human space missions. Admiral, Jake said, we have a big problem out here. Dozens of alien worlds have been abandoned by their protectors. Some are being attacked by slave traders and other bad groups. Admiral Stone frowned. How many worlds are we talking about, Captain? At least 40 that we know of, Jake replied. Maybe more. These people have no way to defend themselves. That's terrible, the Admiral said. But Jake, we can barely protect our own worlds. We don't have the ships or weapons to help that many aliens. I know, Jake said quietly. But Admiral, these are innocent people. They never asked to be dependent on others for protection. Now they're being killed and enslaved because their guardians ran away. Admiral Stone was quiet for a long moment. "Send me all your data, Captain. I need to talk to the President about this." That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the old Vellani's scared eyes. He walked to the ship's observation deck and looked down at the planet below. He could see fires burning in the distance where Kethner raiders were attacking another city. Lisa found him there. "Can't sleep either?" she asked. "Those people trusted their guardians completely," Jake said. "For 1,000 years, they were. Told they didn't need to learn how to fight or build weapons. Now they're helpless. What do you think we should do?" Lisa asked. Jake was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "The right thing, even if it's dangerous for us." The next morning brought bad news. Dr. Webb detected a large fleet of Kethmer ships heading toward the planet. There were too many for Jake's single ship to fight. "Captain," the old Vellani called on the radio, "the bad ones are coming back. They have many ships this time. They want to take all of us." Jake looked at his small crew. They had one exploration ship with light weapons. The enemy had 20 warships. Any sane person would run away. "All hands, prepare for battle," Jake announced over the ship's speakers. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "we can't win this fight." "Maybe not," Jake replied. "But we can't just watch innocent people get enslaved. That's not who we are." As the Kethmer fleet approached, Jake made a decision that would change everything. He opened a channel to all nearby space and broadcast a message. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Horizon's Edge. We claim protection over this world and its people. Any attack on them is an attack on humanity." It was a bluff. Earth was far away, and Jake had no backup coming. But sometimes a bluff was all you had. The lead Kethmer ship responded. "Humans? We do not know this species. Leave now, or we will destroy you with the others." "Then you'll have to destroy us," Jake replied, "because we're not leaving." The battle was about to begin. 6 months had passed since Captain Jake Morrison's brave stand at Kepler 442b. His small ship had somehow survived the fight with the Kethmer fleet, though barely. More importantly, his message to Earth had started something much bigger. President Nathan Cross sat in the White House Situation Room, looking at reports from across the galaxy. The big table was covered with pictures of alien worlds and species that needed help. Around the table sat the most important people in human government. "The numbers are getting worse," said Representative Amy Chun, reading from her tablet. "We now know of 63 worlds that have been abandoned. 41 are under attack by various hostile groups." General Richard Hayes shook his head. "Mr. President, we have to be realistic. We have 12 space warships total. The enemy groups have hundreds. We cannot protect all these worlds." "But we can't just ignore them," Amy argued. "These are innocent people being killed and enslaved. If we don't help, who will?" Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the government's top alien expert, spoke up. "I've been studying the data from our scouts. The situation is even stranger than we thought. The advanced races didn't just leave randomly. They all left at exactly the same time, almost like they planned it together." President Cross leaned forward. "What do you think made them leave?" "Fear," Elena replied. "Something scared them so badly that they abandoned responsibilities they had kept for thousands of years." Commander Troy Bennett had been quiet during the meeting. He led the small fleet of human ships exploring the abandoned regions. "Mr. President, my teams have found something important. The aliens who left behind some strange ships. We call them whisper ships because they're almost invisible and don't make noise." "What do these ships do?" the president asked. "They watch us," Troy said. "Everywhere we go, they follow and observe. It's like they're studying how we react to finding the abandoned worlds." General Hayes looked worried. That could mean they're planning to attack us. Or, Amy suggested, maybe they're testing us to see if we're worthy of taking over their job. President Cross stood up and walked to the big window. Outside, he could see normal people living their normal lives. They had no idea that their government was deciding whether to risk human civilization to save alien strangers. What does the public think? He asked. Amy pulled up another report. The polls are split. 40% say we should help the aliens. 35% say we should focus on protecting Earth first. 25% are undecided. Meanwhile, on the industrial planet of New Geneva, engineer Sam Parker was working on a solution. His team had been studying broken alien defense systems, trying to figure out how they worked. The good news, Sam told his wife Monica over dinner, is that alien technology isn't that much more advanced than ours. It's just different. Monica was a doctor who studied alien minds and cultures. The Valani we rescued are doing well. They're fast learners. Given time, they could probably defend themselves. That's the problem, Sam said. Time. The hostile groups aren't waiting for them to learn. Sam's team had managed to build 3 working shield generators based on alien designs. They weren't as good as the original alien versions, but they worked. The problem was that each generator took 6 months to build, and they needed hundreds. Back on Earth, the breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Kevin Torres was a language expert who had been trying to talk to the alien computers left behind on abandoned worlds. Most of the computers had been destroyed, but a few still worked partly. I got through to one, Kevin announced excitedly to his team. It's a fragment of a crystalline collective artificial intelligence. The AI fragment could only communicate in short messages, but what it said changed everything. Danger coming from outside galaxy, the AI said in broken human language. Devourers consume all life. We hide to survive. Cannot protect others and survive ourselves. Kevin asked more questions. Slowly, the AI explained the terrible truth. Far outside their galaxy, there was a species called the Devourers. They traveled from galaxy to galaxy, eating everything alive. They consumed entire worlds, leaving nothing but empty rock behind. How long until they arrive? Kevin asked. Unknown. Maybe 50 years. Maybe 500. They move slowly, but always. Arrive. Why didn't you warn the species you were protecting? Panic would not help. Better they live in peace until end comes. Kevin felt sick. The advanced aliens had abandoned their responsibilities because they thought everyone was doomed. Anyway, they had decided to save themselves and let the others face the Devourers alone. President Cross called an emergency meeting when he heard Kevin's report. This time, leaders from around the world joined by video call. So let me understand this, said the British Prime Minister. These Devourers might arrive in 50 years, or they might arrive in 500 years. And the advanced aliens ran away to hide in other dimensions. That's correct, President Cross replied. And now we're supposed to protect dozens of alien worlds from both immediate threats and this future invasion? Yes. The room was quiet for a long moment. The Chinese premier spoke first. This is not our responsibility. These aliens depended on others for too long. We should focus on preparing Earth for the Devourers. The Canadian Prime Minister disagreed. But if we let the hostile groups enslave all these worlds, they'll become much stronger. When the Devourers arrive, we'll face them alone. Amy Chun had been thinking hard during the discussion. Mr. President, what if we're looking at this wrong? What if the advanced aliens didn't abandon these worlds because they were cowards? What if they were testing them? What do you mean? President Cross asked. Think about it. Every species gets comfortable when someone else protects them. They stop learning to fight, stop advancing their technology. Maybe the advanced aliens knew that only species that could stand on their own would survive the devourers. General Hayes looked confused. But these species can't stand on their own. That's the problem. They can't stand alone, Amy replied. But maybe they can stand together, with our help. Dr. Rodriguez nodded excitedly. Amy's right. Look at our history. Humans survived because we learned to work together, to help each other. Maybe that's what these abandoned species need to learn. President Cross made his decision. We're going to help them. Not because we have to, but because it's right. And because together, we might all have a chance against the devourers. General Hayes sighed. Sir, this could mean the end of human civilization. General, the president replied, if we abandon innocent people to save ourselves, then our civilization isn't worth saving anyway. The next day, President Cross announced the Guardian Protocol to the world. Humanity would protect the abandoned alien worlds. They would teach them to defend themselves. And they would build an alliance strong enough to face whatever dangers came from the dark spaces between galaxies. Not everyone agreed with the decision. Protests happened in many cities. Some people called the president crazy for risking human lives for aliens. But on the abandoned worlds, the news brought hope. The Velani elder, who had first met Captain Morrison, cried tears of joy when he heard. For the first time in months, he believed his people might survive. Captain Morrison, now promoted to admiral, received new orders. He would lead the first Guardian fleet to establish permanent protection for 12 worlds. It wasn't enough to save everyone, but it was a start dot as his ships prepared to leave Earth. Morrison thought about the choice humanity had made. They were about to risk everything for people they barely knew. But somehow, it felt like the most human thing they had ever done. 2 years after the Guardian Protocol began, Captain Nicole Adams floated in space outside Unity Station. The massive space station was almost finished, and she felt proud watching the construction crews put the final pieces in place. Unity Station would be humanity's first major fortress in deep space, designed to coordinate protection for 17 alien worlds. Looks good from here, said Chief Engineer Danny Wright through the radio. Danny had spent 2 years figuring out how to build big structures in space using both human and alien technology. Nicole smiled inside her helmet. Hard to believe we built something this big in just 2 years. The aliens helped a lot, Danny replied. Turns out when people work together, they can do amazing things. Unity Station was more than just a military base. It was a symbol. Different. Alien species had worked together with humans to build it. The Velani had provided their crystal technology for the power systems. The aquatic tidal speakers had designed the water recycling systems. Even some former enemies had helped after. Learning about the greater danger approaching down on the planet Aquatica, Dr. Frank Pierce was having his own success. Frank led the adaptation project, which taught abandoned alien species how to upgrade their own defenses. Today he was working with the tidal speakers, who lived in the planet's vast oceans. The bioacoustic system is working perfectly, Frank told the tidal speaker elder named Wave Rider. The aliens communicated through complex sounds that traveled through water, but they had learned to speak human language too. Wave Rider's translation device turned his ocean sounds into words. Your people have taught us much, Dr. Pierce. We never knew our songs could be weapons. Frank watched as young tidal speakers practiced using their natural calls to create underwater sound barriers. These barriers could confuse and disable enemy ships that entered their oceans. It was a perfect example of taking something natural and turning it into protection. Every species has hidden strengths, Frank said. Our job is to help you find them. On another world, Dr. Rachel Moore was making different kinds of progress. She ran the first interspecies medical program, learning how to treat injuries and sickness in dozens of different alien body types. It was challenging work, but important for building trust. The crystalline beings don't have blood like us, Rachel explained to her human assistant. Their life force flows through mineral veins in their bodies. When they're hurt, we have to treat them more like fixing a broken machine than healing a wound. The first real test of humanity's commitment came when Kethmer battle fleets attacked the Velani homeworld again. This time they brought 40 ships, expecting an easy victory. Commander Steve Collins led the defense with only 3 human destroyers and 12 Velani fighter ships. The Velani pilots were new to combat, but they had been training hard for months. Remember, Steve told the mixed human and alien pilots, "We're not trying to destroy their entire fleet. We just need to make them think twice about attacking peaceful worlds." The battle was fierce. The Kethmer ships were individually stronger than the human and Velani vessels. But Steve had learned something important about the enemy. They were used to fighting scared, helpless victims. They didn't know how to handle opponents who fought back cleverly. Use the crystal feedback maneuver, Steve ordered the Velani pilots. The Velani ships flew close to the enemy vessels and activated their crystal energy systems in a special pattern. The crystals created energy loops that overloaded the Kethmer shields, leaving them vulnerable to human weapons. The surprised Kethmer fleet retreated after losing 6 ships. More importantly, they sent a message to other hostile groups that the abandoned worlds were no longer easy targets. Colonel Ashley Turner watched the battle reports with satisfaction. She commanded the Guardian Corps, a group of human volunteers who lived permanently among alien populations. These brave men and women served as advisors, teachers, and defenders. The Velani pilots performed beautifully, Ashley told her husband, Dr. Carl Turner. Carl was a scientist who worked on combining human and alien technologies. "It's amazing what they can accomplish when they believe in themselves again," Carl replied. "I think we're proving that the advanced aliens were wrong to abandon them." Carl's work was producing incredible results. By combining human adaptability with alien specializations, he was creating new technologies that neither species could have developed alone. Human Velani crystal computers were faster than anything Earth had ever built. Human tidal speaker underwater cities could survive attacks that would destroy normal structures, but success brought new problems. Word of humanity's protection was spreading throughout the galaxy. More and more abandoned species were asking for help. Captain Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, counted 47 different worlds requesting Guardian protection. "We can adequately protect maybe 15 worlds with our current resources," Morrison told President Cross during their weekly call, "but we're getting requests from almost 50. President Cross looked tired. The stress of coordinating humanity's biggest undertaking was wearing on him. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" "We need to make hard choices, sir. Some species are in more immediate danger than others. Some have more potential to help defend themselves. We have to prioritize." It was the most difficult decision President Cross had ever faced. How do you choose which innocent people to save and which to leave vulnerable? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had continued studying the whisper ships that followed human activities. She had finally managed to communicate with one. "They're not just watching us," Elena reported excitedly. "They're evaluating us. The advanced aliens are testing whether we'll make the same choice they did." "What choice?" President Cross asked. "Whether to save ourselves or save others when resources get limited." Elena explained what she had learned. Every previous Guardian species had eventually faced the same problem humanity now faced. When the job got too big and too dangerous, they had to choose between their own survival and their responsibilities to others. "What did the other Guardians choose?" Morrison asked. "They all chose themselves eventually," Elena replied sadly. That's why the advanced aliens originally became the Guardians. They were the only ones who lasted long enough to develop the technology needed to protect so many worlds. And then they abandoned everyone too, President Cross pointed out. Yes, when the Devourer threat became known. The pattern always repeats. Care for others until it threatens your own survival, and abandon them. President Cross was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "We're going to break that pattern." "Sir?" Morrison asked. "We're going to protect as many as we can, for as long as we can. And we're going to teach them to protect each other. When the Devourers finally arrive, they won't face scattered, helpless victims. They'll face a united galaxy." Meanwhile, at the edge of the galaxy, something stirred in the darkness between stars. Long-range sensors detected movement in the void. Ships unlike anything in the galactic database were approaching at incredible speed. Dr. Marcus Webb studied the sensor readings with growing alarm. "These aren't the Devourers," he told his team. "The energy signatures are completely different." Then, "What are they?" his assistant asked. "I don't know," Webb replied. "But they're big, they're fast, and they're heading straight for the inhabited systems." The first Devourer scouts had arrived at the galaxy's edge, centuries ahead of schedule. The test humanity had been preparing for was about to begin much sooner than anyone expected. Admiral Morrison received the alert while inspecting Unity Station's new defenses. He looked out at the 17 worlds now under human protection, at the mixed species crews working together, at the hope they had built from nothing. "All Guardian units," he broadcast across the fleet, "prepare for full mobilization. The real fight is about to start." On Earth, President Cross gathered his advisors for an emergency meeting. The question was no longer whether humanity could protect the abandoned species. The question was whether anyone in the galaxy would survive what was coming. 4 years into the Guardian Protocol, Admiral Greg Thompson stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at a star map that showed too much red. Red dots marked worlds under attack. Red lines showed enemy fleet movements. Red zones marked areas where humanity had already lost the fight. "Report," Greg said to his communications officer. "We've lost contact with the Bandara system," the officer replied. "That's the third world this month." Greg's daughter, Captain Beth Thompson, commanded the relief fleet that tried to help worlds already under attack. She had just returned from a failed rescue mission, and the weight of defeat showed in her eyes. "We got there too late, Dad," Beth sighed quietly. The Shard Collective had already consumed half the population. The survivors begged us to destroy their world rather than let the Collective finish the job. Greg felt his heart break a little more. The Shard Collective was one of the species humanity had discovered in the abandoned regions. They looked like beautiful living crystals, but they reproduced by consuming other beings' consciousness. Their former guardians had kept them imprisoned on a single world for good reason. "We should have listened to the warnings," Greg said. "We couldn't have known," Beth replied. "The prison systems were completely broken when we found them. We thought they were just another victim species." Dr. Kate Jensen had been the one to discover the truth about the Shard Collective. She was a xenobiologist who studied the history of the abandoned species. Her research had revealed that some of the abandoned species were actually dangerous criminals. The advanced aliens weren't just protectors, Kate explained to President Cross during an emergency call. They were also jailers. Some of these species were imprisoned for crimes against other civilizations. "How many?" the President asked. "At least 7 that we know of. The Shard Collective, the Void Feeders, the Mind Crawlers, and 4 others. They're all extremely dangerous." President Cross rubbed his temples. "So we've been protecting mass murderers and setting them free? We didn't know," Kate said. "The prison systems were disguised to look like protective barriers. We thought we were helping victims of abandonment." The situation was getting worse every day. The Shard Collective was spreading to other worlds, consuming entire populations. The Void Feeders were attacking human ships and stealing their energy. The Mind Crawlers were taking over people's thoughts and turning them into slaves. But the biggest problem was still the approaching Devourer scouts. Commander Alex Reed led the long-range patrol ships that monitored the galaxy's edge. His reports were getting more frightening every week. "The scout ships are getting bigger," Alex reported, "and there are more of them. I count at least 50 now, and they're all heading toward the core systems." "How long until they arrive?" Admiral Thompson asked. 6 months, maybe less. Dr. Susan Mitchell was humanity's expert on Devourer technology. She had been studying wreckage from destroyed scout ships for months, trying to understand how they worked. "The Devourers aren't just conquerors," Susan explained to the Guardian Council. "They're refugees. Their own galaxy was destroyed by something even worse than they are." "What could be worse than planet-eating monsters?" Admiral Morrison asked. "A cosmic cascade failure," Susan replied. "Something that makes entire regions of space uninhabitable. The Devourers are running from it, consuming everything in their path to fuel their escape." This news changed everything. The Devourers weren't invading out of choice. They were desperate survivors who saw the galaxy as their only chance of survival. The breakthrough that changed humanity's perspective came when Commander Reed made contact with a damaged Devourer scout ship. The ship's crew was dying, and they agreed to talk in exchange for medical help. "We do not wish to destroy your worlds," the Devourer captain said through a translation device. "But we must consume energy to survive. Our young are starving. Our ships are failing." "There has to be another way," Reed said. "We can work together to find a solution." "Your species is different," the Devourer replied. "Others have only offered to fight or flee. You offer to help. Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do," Reed answered. The Devourer captain was quiet for a long moment. "Perhaps there is another way, but it would require trust between our species. And trust is something we have not known for many centuries." Back on Earth, President Cross faced the hardest decision of his life. The Zephyrian Council, one of the original Guardian species, had made contact with humanity. They were offering advanced technology and knowledge that could help fight the Devourers. The Zephyrian representative appeared as a hologram in the White House Situation Room. It looked like a tall, elegant being made of flowing energy. "Humans," the Zephyrian said, "you have impressed us with your dedication to the lesser species. But now you face the same choice we once faced. You can join us in the dimensional refuges and survive, or you can stay and die with the others. What's the catch?" President Cross asked. "You must abandon your current responsibilities. The species you protect cannot come with us. Our refuges have limited space and resources." Amy Chun, now Secretary of Defense, stood up angrily. "You want us to abandon the people we've been protecting? The people who trust us?" "It is the logical choice," the Zephyrian replied. "Every Guardian species eventually makes this decision. Individual survival is more important than collective sacrifice." "How many species made this choice before us?" President Cross asked. "All of them. 47 different Guardian species over the past 1,000,000 years. They all started with noble intentions, but reality forced them to choose themselves over others." The room was silent for a long moment. Then President Cross spoke. "We're honored by your offer, but we decline." "You choose extinction over survival?" the Zephyrian asked, sounding surprised. "We choose to stand with our friends," President Cross replied. "If that means extinction, then at least we'll face it with honor." The Zephyrian hologram flickered. "Your choice is illogical. You will all die." "Maybe," President Cross said. "But maybe we'll find a way to save everyone. That's what humans do." We find ways to make impossible things possible. After the Zephyrian left, the room remained quiet. General Hayes spoke first. "Mr. President, are you sure about this? They're offering us guaranteed survival." "At the cost of our souls, President?" Cross replied. "If we abandon the people who trust us, we stop being human. We become just another species that cares only about itself." Amy Chun nodded. "The President is right. We've come too far to give up now." Dr. Rodriguez had been studying the conversation recordings. "I think I understand something now. The Zephyrians and the other advanced species didn't just abandon their responsibilities. They abandoned their humanity." "What do you mean?" President Cross asked. "They became so focused on survival that they forgot what made life worth living. They saved their bodies, but lost their hearts." Meanwhile, on Unity Station, Admiral Morrison was preparing for the final phase of the Guardian Protocol. The Devourer main fleet was still years away, but their scouts were already testing the galaxy's defenses. "All Guardian units, prepare for full defensive operations," Morrison broadcast to the fleet. "We're about to find out if our crazy plan can actually work." Captain Beth Thompson was leading a joint task force of human and alien ships to intercept the largest Devourer scout group. As they approached the enemy fleet, she opened a communication channel. "Devourer ships, this is Captain Thompson of the Guardian Alliance. We want to talk, not fight." The response came immediately. "Guardian Alliance? We have heard of your species. You are the ones who protect others instead of yourselves." "That's right," Beth replied. "And we want to help you. 2. There has to be a way for all of us to survive." The Devourer commander sounded curious. "You would help us even though we threaten your worlds?" "If you're willing to work with us instead of against us, yes." For the first time in centuries, a Devourer fleet stopped its advance to listen to a peaceful offer. The conversation that followed would determine the fate of the entire galaxy. The final battle began not with explosions, but with words. Captain Beth Thompson sat across from Commander Vasthunger, leader of the Devourer scout fleet, in a neutral meeting space built hastily between their ships. "Your offer is impossible," Vasthunger said through the translation device. His species looked like massive creatures made of living darkness with glowing eyes. "My people consume energy to survive. Your people need that same energy to live. We cannot both exist in the same space." Beth leaned forward. "What if we could find new sources of energy? What if we could help you survive without destroying inhabited worlds? You would do this, even though we are your enemies?" "You're not our enemies," Beth replied. "You're refugees who are scared and hungry. We understand that." Vasthunger was quiet for a long moment. "No species has ever offered to help us before. They only fight or flee. Then maybe it's time to try something different." Meanwhile, Fleet Admiral Mike Roberts was coordinating the defense of the galaxy from the newly completed Sanctuary Network. 23 space stations now protected refugee worlds and served as rally points for the United Species. "Status report," Mike called to his staff. "The Devourer main fleet is 2 months away," his intelligence officer reported. "But the advance?" "Scouts have agreed to a ceasefire while negotiations continue." "And the other hostile groups?" "The Kethmer and their allies are taking advantage of the situation. They're attacking worlds while our forces are focused on the Devourer threat." Mike nodded grimly. "Send the second Guardian fleet to handle the Kethmer. We can't let them enslave more worlds while we're dealing with the Devourers." The key breakthrough came from Dr. Helen Burke's research team. Helen had been studying the energy patterns created when different alien species worked together. She discovered something amazing. The cooperation itself generates energy, Helen explained excitedly to President Cross. When multiple species work in perfect harmony, their combined psychic resonance creates a new form of power. How much power? The president asked. Enough to potentially feed an entire devourer fleet without depleting any worlds, Helen replied. But it only works when the cooperation is completely voluntary and genuine. President Cross felt hope for the first time in months. Can we generate enough to satisfy their needs? If we can get every species in the galaxy to work together, yes, but it would require trust and cooperation on a scale never seen before. The plan was ambitious beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. They would create a galaxy-wide network of cooperation, with each species contributing their unique abilities to generate the harmony energy the Devourers needed. Captain Lavra Anderson led the first joint species fleet in history. Human tactical. Expertise coordinated with Vellani crystal technology, tidal speaker bioacoustic systems, and technologies from dozens of other species. All ships. This is Admiral Anderson, Lavra broadcast to the mixed fleet. Today, we're not fighting as separate species. We're fighting as one galaxy, one family. The response came from dozens of different voices in dozens of different languages, all saying the same thing. We stand together. The first test of the harmony energy came when a group of rogue devourers attacked the Bendara system, ignoring the ceasefire. Instead of fighting back with weapons, the defending fleet tried something unprecedented. All ships, synchronize your energy patterns, Lavra ordered. Villani, begin crystal resonance. Tidal speakers, start harmonic frequencies. Humans, coordinate everything. What happened next amazed everyone. As the different alien technologies worked together in perfect sync, space itself began to glow with a soft, warm light. The energy created by their cooperation was so powerful that the attacking devourers stopped mid-assault. What is this? The rogue devourer commander asked in wonder. This energy ... It feeds us without harming you. This is what cooperation looks like, Lavra replied. This is what we can accomplish when we work together instead of fighting each other. The news of the successful harmony generation spread quickly, but it also brought new problems. General Peter Clark, commanding ground defenses across multiple worlds, received urgent reports that other hostile groups were uniting against the human-led alliance. The Kethmer have joined forces with the Void Feeders and the Mind Crawlers, Peter reported to Admiral Roberts. They see our alliance as a threat to their way of life. How many ships are we looking at? Roberts asked. Over 300 hostile vessels, sir. They're calling themselves the Dominion Fleet. Roberts felt his stomach sink. The Guardian Alliance had maybe 200 ships total, and most of their crews were still learning to work together. The climactic battle occurred at the confluence, where 7 star systems met in a rare gravitational phenomenon. The Dominion Fleet chose this location because they thought the complex gravity would confuse the mixed Guardian forces. They were wrong. Admiral Morrison, now elderly but still sharp, commanded the Guardian forces from Unity Station. Remember, he told his fleet commanders, we're not trying to destroy them. We're trying to show them a better way. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of pure warfare, it became a demonstration. As the Guardian ships worked together, their harmony energy created protective barriers that absorbed enemy fire without harming the attackers. Impossible, the Kethmer fleet leader broadcast. Our weapons cannot penetrate your shields. That's because our shields are powered by cooperation, Morrison replied. The more we work together, the stronger we become. But the real surprise came when the ancient protector species finally revealed themselves. The Zephyrians, Crystalline Collective, Void Walkers, and Star Shepherds emerged from their dimensional refuges, their ships appearing like ghosts becoming solid. Humans, the Zephyrian Council leader said over open channels, you have accomplished what we thought impossible. You have united the galaxy. Will you help us? President Cross asked from Earth. We will do more than help, the Zephyrian replied. We will join you. You have shown us that survival and honor are not mutually exclusive. The tide of battle turned completely when the ancient protectors joined the fight. But instead of using their advanced weapons to destroy the Dominion fleet, they used their technology to extend the Harmony energy to the hostile ships. What are you doing to us? The Kethmer leader demanded. We're showing you what you've been missing, Morrison replied. The energy you feel is what happens when beings care for each other instead of trying to dominate each other. One by one, ships from the Dominion fleet stopped fighting. The Harmony energy was addictive in the best way possible. It felt like coming home after being lost in the cold for years. When the main Devourer fleet finally arrived, they found something completely unexpected. Instead of a galaxy at war, they discovered a galaxy at peace. Billions of beings working together, generating enough Harmony energy to feed entire fleets without harming anyone. Commander, Vast Hunger met with President Cross on Unity Station for the final negotiations. Your species has done something remarkable, Vast Hunger said. You have created abundance from cooperation. We no longer need to consume your worlds. There's room for everyone, President Cross replied. The galaxy is big enough for all of us if we work together. The signing of the Galactic Harmony Accord took place on Earth, with representatives from over 200 species present. The document established the principles that would guide galactic civilization for generations to come. Cooperation over competition, protection over exploitation, harmony over dominion. 5 years later, Captain Jake Morrison, now retired, sat in a park on Earth watching human children play with young aliens of dozens of different species. His granddaughter was best friends with a young Villani who could make beautiful crystal flowers bloom with her thoughts. Grandpa, his granddaughter asked, tell me again about the old days when different species used to fight each other. Jake smiled and picked her up. Those were dark times, little one. But they taught us something important. The strongest thing in the universe isn't the biggest weapon or the fastest ship. It's the willingness to stand up for others, even when it's dangerous. Even for strangers? Especially for strangers. Because when you help a stranger, they become a friend. And when you have enough friends, you can accomplish anything. Above them, ships from 100 different species traveled peacefully through Earth's sky. The Devourer refugees had become the galaxy's best engineers, using their knowledge of energy consumption to create incredibly efficient technologies. The former hostile species had found purpose in helping protect the weaker worlds they had once attacked. The Whisper ships still patrolled the galaxy, but now they carried a different message. Instead of watching for species to abandon their responsibilities, they watched for species ready to join the great work of galactic cooperation. In the depths of space, the Harmony energy continued to grow stronger as more species learned to work together. Scientists predicted that within a few generations, the galaxy would generate enough cooperative energy to begin healing the damage in other galaxies. Maybe even the one the Devourers had fled from, the ancient protector species had returned to. Active participation in galactic affairs, but now as equals rather than superior guardians. They had learned from humanity that true strength came not from being above others, but